Don't go looking in the bed. Good night. Sleep tight. Don't let the bed bugs bite. The reality is, they're biting and biting hard. UK dealing with more bed bugs than we've seen in an awfully long time as a result of the hot weather this summer. Experts say the problem is worse in cities, sort of densely populated areas, more bodies, I guess, more bites, warmer temperatures, shortening the bed bug breeding cycle. Did you know that, I don't know, I'm going to check with the expert if this is true, but I understand that a female bedbug lays 500 eggs in her lifetime. I know. We're just going to have to deal with the itching because it's starting already. And also that bugs are apparently increasingly carried by us from public places to our homes. So it might come from a hotel you stay in, to your house, or on your suitcase, cinemas, public transport. Oh, stop it. David Cain is Managing Director of Bed Bugs Limited. You love your job, don't you, David?
I do indeed. I have a real passion for bed bugs. When most people would run screaming from them, I find them absolutely fascinating.
The one thing I've learnt so far is that they're clearly clever and adaptable. That's why they're succeeding so well. But, just what do they look like first? Let's get a sense of what we're looking out for.
Okay, first myth to bust is you can actually see them. Okay, so they're visible with the human eye. A juvenile bed bug that's just hatched will be about 2 millimetres. And the adults, when fully fed, are about 15 millimetres in length. So they're quite large.
15 millimetres? That is large. Okay.
Absolutely. Okay. They feed exclusively on our blood.
Great.
And generally they will hang out in places that people spend long periods of time stationary. So usually beds, but increasingly we're starting to find anywhere that people will sit down, be that the cinema, be that public transport, even libraries and doctor surgeries.
Oh, glory be. You go to your doctors with a problem and you come back with another one. That's just what you need, isn't it? So what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that you won't realise you've got a problem until you've really got a problem. Is that right?
Not necessarily. The problem is that 60% of people don't originally and initially respond to the problem. So if you think, I'm not being bitten, I don't have bed bugs, well, you may be one of the people who either is never going to respond, or you're one of those people who doesn't quite have enough bed bugs yet in order for your body to say, I've got a problem.
And how many bed bugs do we need to know that we've really got a problem then?
Well, some people will respond quite aggressively to a single bed bug. And I once met a gentleman who lived in a house with approximately 120,000 bed bugs. Oh. They were all over the place, but because he didn't come up with any spots, he never thought it was a problem.
So he was aware of them, but they just lived in perfect harmony, like a symbiotic relationship.
Absolutely. And I mean, it was a truly surreal experience to go into this house, and fascinating to understand that everywhere that this person went, they were literally leaving a trail of bed bugs behind them, like some type of typhoid Mary.
What's the one on, is it Silas on the Peanuts, where, he's got his blanket and sort of a festering amount of bugs around him? That's what I'm getting that impression, really.
Absolutely. I mean, literally like that. So every time he went to the pub, he might leave a few there. And every time he sat down somewhere, he might leave a few there. And quite an unusual gentleman, because we ended up having to practically forensically trace all of his daily activities to find out where he'd been, because his activities had then passed problems on to other people. And before we knew it, we didn't just know him, we actually knew 15 or 20 of his close friends and associates, or people that had just overlapped their life with his.
Okay, so it doesn't mean we're dirty, doesn't mean we're horrible people in any way. Anybody can get them.
Absolutely not. Anyone can get them. They're nothing to do with hygiene. If you think about it this way, the bed bugs that you encounter in a 5-star hotel or on a cruise ship or an airline, all those different places, does it know anything about your home and your hygiene? No, it just sees a meal and it fancies coming home with you. So the big myth, nothing to do with hygiene, can happen to anyone, I've met some very interesting people, an awful lot of journalists in my days, but also some very high net worth individuals. And this also happens to high density social housing, multiple floors up. It really is a thing that can happen to everyone if you leave your front door, and that's why you need to be aware of it and to check your home on a regular basis.
Bite-wise, what does a bite look like?
Well, that's part of the problem. They vary from person to person. Some people can get a skin response that practically lasts minutes and it disappears before they wake up. And other people, particularly if they scratch them, can be left with quite an ugly scar. So if you search on the internet, you find everything from a small reaction to the person literally looks like they've been attacked by a swarm of insects and they're covered head to toe.
Itchy?
Some people find them itchy. I personally find that unless I'm feeding a couple of hundred at a time, it doesn't get that itchy.
So you want to see the faces this end at what you're telling me. Okay, so how do I tackle them? Is it instantly that I've got to ring up somebody, or can I do anything to avoid them or get rid of them myself?
Well, the most important thing you can do is avoid them. So when you stay away from home, you check the bed before you check into the room, often leaving the luggage in the bath. And that way, if there is a problem in the room, you've avoided the issue completely.
Hang on, just wait, slow down a bit. Hold on. So you're putting the luggage in the bath to protect the luggage from getting any bugs. But you do check in before you get a room, though. You're inevitably, you've checked in before you get the key to the room, surely?
Oh, yes, yeah. But you arrive in the room, and the first thing you do is place the luggage into the bath.
In the bath?
So
right.
It's protected.
Okay.
And then you start looking at the room itself. So you pull the bed and the mattress away from the wall, you look along the head end, and you're looking for live insects, car skins, and their fecal traces.
Like little black dots, which is their poo.
Absolutely. And if any of that is present, you've managed to avoid the problem in the first place. So you're not then going to take bed bugs home because you spotted them before you stayed in the room. So avoidance is the great step, but you also then need to translate that to what do I do in my own home. I personally would recommend passive monitoring and inspecting and cleaning your bed once a month. We all accept the fact that we spend on average at least 180 hours a month sleeping in our beds. Well, we should give them respect for that and actually clean them with a vacuum cleaner. And while you're doing it, check for the signs of bed bugs, and if you've got a problem, it'll be small and you may be able to tackle it yourself. But if you pull your mattress forward tonight and find that there are 2,000 or 3,000 insects looking back up at you,
oh, good Lord.
Don't panic, but find someone who knows what they're doing to help you.
I'm never going to sleep again. You say 180 hours a month sleeping. That's it. Never going to sleep again. And what I will be doing, though, is hoovering my mattress on a regular basis. And you can actually, because you can see them, presumably you can see them going. But, you touched on airline seats and, buses, train seats. Well, you can't, there's nothing you can do about that. You're stuck sitting in this seat for 5, 8, 13 hours, aren't you?
Yes, but because you're going to sit in it for that long, I've got into the habit over the years of always taking 3 or 4 minutes to check the seat first. Because if there's a problem, I'd rather find out about it before the plane takes off. Because when the fasten seatbelt sign goes on, I may be stuck in it for 15 hours.
Yeah. Well, what a revelation. It's been as fascinating as it has been alarming, frankly. I don't think any of us are going to sleep quite the same again. Good to speak to you. David Cain, possibly walking off of a plane near you, Managing Director of Bedbugs Limited. He loves his job. He loves his bedbugs.